Anyway, so anyway, shall we move on? Let's talk about Mission Impossible, the final reckoning.
It's the final reckoning.
I'm not gonna keep going.
No dignity in that.
So obviously it does seem sort of retold, because the last one was Dead Reckoning Part 1, which they seem to have just there's no Part 2, this is just the final reckoning.
That is what I didn't know. I didn't know that. That's weird, because I remember that being Part 1. It didn't occur to me when I saw this that why? I mean, why backpedal on that? You can't change it. Like, such a weird.
Well, it's funny because the last one didn't it was considered I don't know about a failure, but it didn't perform on track with what it was supposed to do. Considering Fallout was such a big thing in 2018, I think Fallout came out, and that was a huge one. Obviously, it came with the whole mustache gate, Henry Cavill, and it sort of did. The funny thing is, it sort of did to Justice League in a roundabout way what Oppenheimer did to Dead Reckoning Part 1, because Cruise was sort of slightly got his Scientologistic tits in a twist over the Oppenheimer kind of came in and swept out the IMAX screenings, I think. So Oppenheimer got booked across a bunch of IMAX screenings, which kind of then killed a big chunk of Mission Impossibles, because it came out a week after or 2 weeks after, and it got messed around with the scheduling, and it basically ate into what would have been Mission Impossible's take for it. So whereas Fallout, because of all the wrangling over Henry Cavill's contract, kind of scuppered Justice League because of the mustache thing. So
it turned out they had larger problems than that.
It comes around.
Yes,
and
I imagine the performance of a Mission Impossible, the last one underperforming is probably versus some incredibly high global take, right? They do really well.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing is, I think that what kind of got also brushed under the carpet was when you call something Part 1, there's an inherent sort of, not anticlimax, but sort of, there's a sort of, by design, the end of it's not going to be conclusive, and I think that's what that film was keeping certain powder dry that I think ate into its following the opening weekend. I think the box office take dropped off for that reason, as well as the fact that then Barbenheimer happened, right? So I think it was a bit of a 1-2 punch in that I think.
And that was a basket case. That was a real phenomenon, the Barbenheimer thing. It would be very strange if another one happened like this month that we didn't know about. Like everyone, I don't know, maybe everyone's going to see Minecraft. I don't know.
What's annoying is that'll probably do really well, much like the Super Mario Brothers film, and it'll be one of those like we won't understand it, but it'll make $20 squidillion, and they'll go. I saw a thing. I boiled my piss. I'm connected to a bunch of studio executives on LinkedIn. Don't know why, but one of them, I think it was a repost of someone else, some entertainment industry lawyer, said that the quote unquote failure of Mickey 17 is proof positive that audiences aren't ready for new IP or don't want new IPs. And I was like, there's so much wrong with that read of the situation. I, as a pissant in this industry, can see why that's completely wrong. Like, just, you've put 2 and 2 together and made 5.
Well,
the problem is, don't piss away $200 million on something
they're
like
just
that.
Using that. I really think because I've heard this a lot. I think they're just using that to reaffirm their own narrative. It's kind of like, we're just going to play safe. I think I found quite interesting is that everyone's going like, well, Mickey 17 is a new original IP and you don't want it, and it's like, well, it's based on a book though. Like, because the problem is, they're always sequels, remakes, and adaptations. It's like, well, that's an adaptation.
But even thematically and conceptually, it's Live, Die, Repeat, or Edge of Tomorrow, whatever you call it. Moon,
yeah.
and Groundhog Day, and all the come on. It's just, quite apart from anything and whether or not it's a good film.
Moonhog Repeat, if you will.
And I will.
And I shall, yeah.
I just think, that is, again, completely the wrong lesson to learn from it. And anyway, I digress. But I suppose what I'm putting that context there for why perhaps they've chosen to call this The Final Reckoning, because they really want to hammer home. And this is such a corporate decision. But it's a kind of like, well, if we just call it Dead Reckoning Part 2, that might link it too much to a film that people didn't like. So let's call it The Final Reckoning, and then people will realise it's their last chance to go and see Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible. I think that to me seems like, the logic, if you like.
And that's last time he rode a motorcycle off a cliff, so this time he's going to have unprotected anal sex in Dundee, or eat some uranium, or like kiss a bear, or whatever.
Well, I mean, so again, people have said that because there's a sort of flagship stunt of each film. Fallout, it was there was a few in Fallout, but there was especially the he did do a halo jump, which was obviously in Tomorrow Never Dies, but which someone did, but that
not the star.
Pierce Brosnan didn't do it. So yeah, Tom Cruise done a halo jump, but although it was a bit frustrating because they added CG clouds and lightning into it, so it then may as well have been not real.
Yeah, that kind of. I mean, it's still a fucking halo jump. Like guys, you need to put clouds in it. Like, I mean, whatever. Like,
exactly. Yeah, so they did that, and then things like hanging onto the side.
And he's got the little knife from Mission Impossible 1.
Well, that's something I was going to talk about. So obviously so when Dead Reckoning Part 1 came out, there was talk of, because there's mention, obviously the Sebastopol. You haven't seen it. The Sebastopol, it centres around a submarine, right? A Russian submarine, the Sebastopol, which has upon it an AI. So it tackles with AI, an AI called the Entity, which is aboard this submarine, which convinces the submarine that's been attacked. So the submarine fires on another submarine, ends up destroying itself, and it relies on these two keys that have to be... It's very MacGuffin, but these two keys that have to be put together to access the AI. And so that whole film is about trying to get both keys. And I really like it. I really like. There's only really one, maybe two duffers in the Mission Impossible series. I genuinely think it's one of the best. Yes, it's glossy and corporate. Don't get me wrong, but it's one of the best sort of spy franchises going. I genuinely think so. I think I mean, I love Bond, of course. I mean, I loved Bond, but I think this has huge, I mean, it's just fun. It's good fun cinema, and I love a spy thriller.
Yes.
So it's
I would just say, just to be like, so I watched and loved Brian De Palma's Mission Impossible, the first one. To give it its full title, in 1996 or whatever. I loved it. I thought it was so cool. And then it took the major spring out the second one, and it was the kind of John Woo one that everyone hates. And I was like, oh, it's a bad Mission Impossible film.
I hate it, but it's...
Yeah, but at the time, people fucking savaged it. Like, it just got like such shitty notices and word of mouth from my friends and stuff. It was like a shitty John Woo movie and a shitty Mission Impossible movie. And then they revived it with J.J. Abrams and Brad Bird. And from then... I haven't watched any of them, not because I was being difficult, I just never got round to it, and now I have to watch all of them, which I am quite up for, because they seem cool. And they do, from the outset, seem really cool. I just haven't got round to it. And, Brad Bird...
I think you'd enjoy them.
I think I would as well, I really do. They do look cool. I'm just kind of like... I've done that thing of, like, letting them stack up, like, bills that I haven't paid, and now it's like, oh, God.
Well, no, it's like I've... if you haven't watched The Sopranos, and then you get to go watch that, I genuinely think, don't get me wrong, they're big, they're glossy, they're corporate, there's no getting around that, but they're deeply enjoyable, they're subversive in ways you perhaps don't see coming, and I think you...
Look,
I think you'll like it.
I love a lot of fucking glossy blockbuster shit, and I've never shied away from that, and I think there's nothing wrong from it, and I think the people who sort of think rejecting anything mainstream makes you automatically clever are ironically morons, or at least, or cunts.
Well, look, I mean, and of course there's the Tom Cruise of it all. All I can say is I have been around the man for a few days, not for whatever it's worth. I mean, I'm not suggesting for a moment I'm a Tom Cruise expert, but you know, he loves what he does. From what I can see, you know, he's dedicated to everything, and he loves movie making. And you know, his private life aside, I've no comment to make on that. But he galvanizes crews and stuff around, because I worked on Edge of Tomorrow, or whatever you want to call it. It's called All You Need Is Kill when we did it, and he was all over every inch of that, and not in a
good movie. I really like that movie.
He did. Great movie. He did the thing where, like, he would get those scenes of them like doing the
the drill,
running around, do all the drill, and he would literally do a thing when they had to go back to ones. He would like go, right, I'm 50 whatever years old, race me back to the first positions, and he'd race every extra and everyone across that parade yard. Like he just would do it to like get everyone's. But he's a good number one, if you like, on the call sheet.
Sure,
he's
like the last movie star. He's amazing. I happen to think he's weird and gross, and I'll leave it at that. But like, I do like I like to watch things with him in.
For what's said about him, I couldn't.
Yeah, and this is not that
That
podcast. We're not.
No,
just I guess because someone in the comment will go like, "Oh, well, you like Tom Cruise movies, which is the same as murdering babies," and it's like, "Oh, fuck off." Apparently, Duncan, if I record at 9 o'clock at night, my vibe is a lot different. I think this might explain our earlier phrase on the internet when I was cycling after work and recording things late and just being kind of like angry. I mean, I'm just sort of deeply sleep deprived and poor.
So I have nothing.
Unbusy.
Yes, but I'm. No, I look. I'm all behind this. I love these type of event movies. I want them to continue. I feel that we are at something of a precipice with these kind of movies. Certainly in this sort of thriller spy genre. I think the 90s it reignited that a lot. Obviously, you had the comeback of GoldenEye and Mission Impossible kicked off then, and then you had the kind of all the the sort of, I don't wish to damn them. Well, the sort of second tier stuff. The kind of the one-offs, the kind of like you had the Peacemaker with George Clooney, you had
those kind of
vehicle type movies, and then you had the Jack Ryan stuff, and you all that kind of thing,
and even up to Swordfish, and the fact that even Austin Powers is in there because it was felt to be worth parodying.
Absolutely, no, it was a real resurgence, and it just seems to have gone now into a really cheap area where it kind of got lumped in with like all action. They're a dime a dozen now, and it's what's his name, Aaron Eckhart, or there's and it'll be the thing. That's he's the face on the poster, so I'm not saying it's his fault, but it's like it'll be him, and it'll be Martin Campbell, and and Olga Korolenko will have come out of the cupboard to do another one on a bike usually. And it's kind of like a motorbike, not a push bike.
It's not practical for intercity travel.
As well, you know.
Yes.
No, but and all the constituent parts will be there, so it'll be a kind of like you go, oh, I don't know, I should watch this, and then it's like, but it had. It was. It's not even the budget. It's the fact that it was then made by committee, and and it's based on a book by Jeff McTwattypants, who no one's heard of. But it is a book.
They don't appear to be for anybody. In the 90s there was a space for it, and now someone's like, well, we should probably keep making these.
I will say that there are gems amongst the dog shit, like The Foreigner with Jackie Chan and Pierce Brosnan, which was directed by Martin Campbell. Martin Campbell.
I worked with Niall McNamee, who was in that. I worked with
wonderful.
him.
There you go. Well, that film I thought was a real. I think it got lost in the morass, but I really, really thought that film had something to say. Said it well. Had everyone involved was great. It mounted itself well. I thought it wasn't too generic with its kind of. Compositions and action, and I really liked that film, and it just sort of, I think it did okay. I mean, it got attention, but I don't think it made any money.
It's always very highly imagine this. You can imagine that thing. It's always well spoken of. It's highly spoken of. I find like people who watched it like it, and I'm all like, I never thought I would get a Jackie Chan, Pierce Brosnan team up, a crossover, whatever you want to call it. So I should watch it. And Niall, I work with Niall, who's in it, and he's he said nice things about working on it and stuff. So
yeah, I do think it's worth a look. I genuinely, and I enjoyed it, and it is. I think the problem is sort of the poster art and where it went pretty much straight on streaming. I think, and all that stuff suggested that it was just yet another whatever
kind of landfill
type film.
Yeah,
and it isn't. And I think, bearing in mind all this stuff in the past, you know, would have got some sort of theatrical release and ended up on DVD. You know what I mean? And it would have been like a sort of film.
Yeah.
You know, there are films like that in the 90s we can all point to. Things like Blown Away.
Blown Away, bloody hell, fucking hell. Yeah.
Blown Away, right, would not get a cinema release now. There's no friggin' way. Even if it starred those people, it would still get,
I'm going to throw in a bonus trailer at the end.
We're going off track here for people, but forgive us. I know,
please. But have you seen... Well, this is 1 minute of your time. Have you seen the trailer for this thing, G20, with Anthony Starr and Viola Davis?
No, but I hear it's dog shit.
It looks so dumb. Like it's just for it's like because it's got Viola Davis and Anthony Starr. Like he's in a big streaming show. She's Viola Davis, but it has that real. So when streamers make movies, man, like streamers quite often make movies that look real shit that cost loads of money, and it's like it's very much a straight to video. If it was Under Siege 3 and it came out in 2001 straight to video, I'd be like, But it is not that. It's got Viola Davis in it as John McClane president, and it looks so shit. Maybe
Viola Davis is one of those people. I love her to absolute death.
She's awesome. She's fucking awesome.
Working actor. I genuinely think she's amazing. I just don't think she's the best business-minded person, because I do think she's made some questionable.
Don't know, man. Looks like she got paid a lot for this one.
Yeah, but okay, all right, maybe
not that. No, yeah. I know what you mean. Business. But you mean show business. You don't mean business.
Maybe, or maybe the people behind her are just sort of going, "Come on, boy, have a crack at that."
That's Anthony Starr.
Yes, it is. Have you seen? Did you see his Bond audition that got leaked along with? Did you not see all these? Well, why would you? Who gives a shit when you don't care about James Bond? But all the last round of Bond auditions, which was like 2005, got leaked on the internet. So Henry Cavill's one, Anthony Starr, and I don't know what they went quite Antipodean because you had. What's his face from Abadar? What's his name?
Sam Worthington.
Sam Worthington, who clearly didn't give a shit. He's someone he just seems to have failed the fuck up. It's
mad, isn't it? He's a
because he was just like he was like, yeah, I'm James Bond or whatever, and showers your clacker, mate. And they're like, that's not in the script. Never mind. Do you want another go at that? He's like, nah, mate.
They want to get that sweet Lazenby magic. Go to the Antipodes.
I'm like, if he gets an audition. I mean, and it was basically the scene from GoldenEye with between Pierce Brosnan and Famke Janssen. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Anyway, G20 looks shit.
Anthony Starr did it. It's Twilight. Anyway, Mission Impossible. No, sorry. So the knife thing.
Oh yeah,
this is what I was getting. So the knife is obviously, and so when Dead Reckoning Part 1 came out, there was talk of because the submarine went down in the Antarctic. Some people were going because the guy who they give all the laxatives to, it always comes back to poo. I'm sorry, but the guy in that room who they make in the film you have seen, who has to keep going and shitting his guts out, and then eventually comes back and finds the knife stuck in the table because it fell out of the thing, and picks it up. He is then the CIA have to get rid of him because he's privy to everything. So they go stick him in a substation in Antarctica somewhere. So I think he's going to come back, which is lovely. I think that's such a great thing to do. There's the rabbit's foot features in the which again you haven't seen from the third film.
I'm aware of it though. That's the thing I know about.
It is the MacGuffin of MacGuffins because in that film it's never explained what it is.
Yeah, because
it's just
J.J. Abrams made that one.
Yeah,
and wanting to know what the thing is stupid. So,
yeah, exactly. Very Lost and Prometheus and all that shit. But it's kind of like a great way of going. Actually, that did have meaning, and it does come back. And so if it's done well and in a clever way, I'm all for it. And I love all that kind of stuff of because it's a reckoning, isn't it? It's him facing all the things that he's done. Fine, thematically, it's.
Why not? Why not? As an outsider view, I sometimes wonder that because I look at them and go, do these have anything to do with each other apart from Tom Cruise? And of course, because Ving Rhames comes back all the time with Simon Pegg. But from the outside, they kind of look like, and there would be nothing wrong with that if it's the case. They kind of look like just random spy films, but then showing, because they've done this before, right? Because I think Sean Harris, they had his kind of Hannibal Lecter thing when he was locked in a cell after he was.
He came back for Fallout after Rogue
Sure.
Nation.
So they kind of link those things back up. They better bring back John Schneider as the Eurostar driver. That's what I want.
I would love that.
Yeah,
they just somehow found a way.
He's Prime
for him
Minister
to be like
of
the
Britain or
linchpin
something. Yeah,
of the whole thing. It all rests on you.
Okay.
Yeah. No. So I'm pumped. You know, it's don't get me wrong. It's in my wheelhouse, but I'm definitely down for it. And and look, if it's to be, as people are suggesting, like he's gonna die in it, and it's all gonna, it's gonna be a bit of a. I think you've got to be careful with that. I think as No Time to Die proved, I think you've got to be. Don't get me wrong. It's not the same as killing James Bond after 60 years. It's not. That doesn't have the same weight to it. But I do also think that this franchise is very much on Tom Cruise's shoulders, and there is no point in suggesting that it'll carry on with someone, because they tried to do that with Ghost Protocol when they brought Jeremy Renner into it, and there was a suggestion that he would.
Who ironically was brought in to replace Bourne in the Bourne Identity, and that didn't.
Yeah,
work
exactly.
Either.
He was just your sort of boilerplate action guy or spy guy or whatever, and it's kind of like, and actually Ghost Protocol ended up being probably my favourite, or certainly one of my favourite of the whole thing. So it's the Brad Bird one. It's brilliant. Okay. And he was a great addition to that. But I do think, this lives and dies with Tom Cruise, and I just think, let's call it a day. Make him butt fuck a great white. On the moon or whatever.
I gotta fuck its blowhole on the moon. Oh, they'll hack all the
sharks don't have blowholes. Moon ones do. Dun, 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 dun.
The blood won't flow to your penis without gravity, unless you do this breathing technique.
That means you have to wear these socks.
Compression socks.
I stole these from my nan. Is she Scottish? What?
Now I'm hooked.
Yeah. I'm in.
You pulled me in.
So anyway, that's a very very circuitous review of that trailer, but I'm down for it. Anyway, I think we'll call that a day here for our trailer roundup. Thank you so much for listening. If you like this content, please do like, comment and subscribe, and do all the things that people pretend they care about but don't really. They just want the engagement.
It's lies. All lies. Vile
it
lies.
Is all lies. But if you didn't know that already, welcome to the internet. We will endeavour to, of course, we do have a Patreon. Thanks, Richard. It's good to see you smiling. You look a bit jaundiced.
Kidney failure, that's what.
Right. We're just two idiots who should know better, really, and now in our 40s. But do stick around, do come back. We do have a Patreon if you care. If you don't. And we have just crossed over 5,000 subscribers, so slight announcement, we are going to try and do something special for that.
A special celebration. Which I'm quite excited about. Which was Duncan's idea, which he's blindsided me with. And it's the good kind of blindside. And I love being mysterious about it, because you're not going to know till you know. How about that?
But you will. And it'll be fun. So anyway, thank you so much. We love you, and goodbye.